Hey, speaking of bars and wineries and characters who do these things that don't even like alcohol, let's get on with one of the little munchkins of Genshin Impact that I can't seem to get my hands on for my wishes. Chi-Chi. Anyways, let's get on with the video for Diona. Diona is a playable cryo character in Genshin Impact. She is the daughter of Draft. Despite being a bartender at Cat's Tail, she actually despises alcohol and wants nothing more than to ruin Mondstadt's wine industry. A threat easier said than done when her patrons absolutely love her drinks. Diona is a female character. Her weapon is a bow and her element is cryo. Donna's birthday is January 18th. Her constellation is Feles. Her nation is Mondstadt. Diona has an infatuation with the Cat's Tails Tavern and the Cat's-Line family. Diona's special dish and favorite food is definitely not bar food, which is a variant of the Mondstadt grilled fish. She was released as a playable character on November 11, 2020. Diona goes by two titles: Cat's-Line Cocktail and self-proclaimed wine industry slayer. According to her father Draft, Diona is a bit of a rebellious phrase. While Diona adores her father and idolizes him in her youth, witnessing his change in personality while drunk shattered the potential she put on him, and started her vendetta against alcohol. She despises just about anyone who indulges in alcohol, apart from Lisa, who considers to be a nice and gentle but ignores the fact that she drinks. Although Diona has the option of actually destroying the industry, she chooses not to, instead opting to do so by plummeting the industry's reputation by becoming a bartender and serving terrible drinks. Unfortunately, her friend blessed her with a magic touch that makes all of her drinks delicious, regardless of how toxic the ingredients used are, and she herself is really unaware of this. In her voiceovers, Diona provides to the classic tsundere and is shown to be quite naive. She worries over the traveler's ability to get home safely without night vision and offers to escort them home, until the traveler reminds them that street lamps exist, and Diona quickly denies ever having offered escorting them. She blames Diluc for her father's problems, even though the Dong Winery had existed well before him or his father, and fails to see why the fans she has and Barbara get directly different. She also appears to Cave Championship, implied to be a resuit of Draft, neglecting her when he is in drunken sports. Diona is a small girl with fair skin and short pink hair. Part of her hair is pulled into a stiff pigtail in front of her head. She also has pink, black, and white cat ears and tail, teal green eyes, and rounded eyebrows. Diona's cat traits are those of a calico cat. Diona wears a large dark indigo cap, along with shorts of the same color with gold paw print decorations. She also wears a dark indigo midriff, burning sleeves shirts with an orange-yellow scarf, pale pink sleeves, a vest of the same color, and white gloves with light pink paw-like patterns on the undersides. Diona wears a cold drink canteen strapped to her shorts and attached to which is her cryo vision. She also wears a navy blue boots that are shaped like raised heels with gold cat-shaped decorations. Cat's line style is Diona's normal attack. The normal attack can perform up to 5 constructed shots with the bow. The charge attack performed more precise aim shots with increased damage. While aiming, biting frost will accumulate on the arrow's head. A fully charged frost arrow will deal cryo damage, while the plummeting attack fires off a shower of arrows in mid-air before falling and striking the ground, dealing AoE damage on impact. Icy Paws is Diona's elemental skill. It fires an ice paw that deals cryo damage to opponents and forms a shield on hit. The shield's damage absorbs skills based on Diona's max HP, and its duration scales off the number of icy paws that hit their target. The press rapidly fires off 2 icy paws, while hold dashes back quickly before firing 5 icy paws. The shield created by hold attack will gain a 75% damage absorption bonus. The shield has a 250% cryo damage absorption bonus and will infuse Diona with cryo at the point of formation for a short distortion. Singular Mix is Diona's elemental burst. It tosses out a special cold brew that deals AoE cryo damage and creates a drunken mist in AoE. Every 2 seconds for 12 seconds of drunken mist deals cryo damage to opponents within the field, regardless at the HP of characters within the field. Cat's Tail's secret menu is Diona's first acceleration phase skill. Characters who are shielded by Icy Paws have their movement SPD increased by 10% and their stamina consumption decreased by 10%. Drunkard's Phase is Diona's 4th elevation passive skill. Opponents who enter the AoE of the signature mix have 10% decrease ATK for 15 seconds. Complementary bar food is Diona's utility passive skill. When a perfect cooking is achieved on a dish with restorative effects, Diona has a 12% chance to obtain double the product. Whenever a guest walks into Cattail, they are immediately glanced in the direction of the bar. Behind it often stands a girl with midi-twitching cat ears, cocktail shaker in hand, and an unhappy look on her face. This is the mixologist Diona, ascendant star of Mondstadt's wine industry, and the greatest challenger to its traditional powerhouses. However, she does not make these wonderful cocktails on purpose. Indeed, quite the opposite. Her mixing methods can seem a little inconsiderable to the outsider. To herself, Diona tries nothing less than her hardest to ruin the hateful god. But no matter the drink, it will turn out to be ultimately sumptuous brew so long as it passes through her hands. This is a blessing she received, though the blessing is a huge heart headache for her. For this mixologist proclaims herself to be the wine industry slayer, and her final objective is the ulterior destruction of Mondstadt's entire wine industry. Coming to Cattail's to serve as its bartender was really a prank on Diona's part, the first step in her master plan. When patrons came in, they will enjoy her look of disgust as they got ready for the Diona special. Here, drink this sea salt lizard and kiss your life as an alcoholic goodbye. So she would say, thus ruining these booze hounds' apprentices, and yet, gulp gulp. Wow, I never had such a wonderful drink. I can get a refill, miss. You want a refill? To this day, Donna has struggled with her unbroken record of mixing fine drinks, unable to accept defeat. She has yet to give up on her dream of producing something truly disgusting. However, the results are always the same, and the cattail remains a popular watering hole, with its pleased patrons singing praises unending of her skill. All poor Donna can do is puff up her cheeks, tears forming in her eyes as she grumbles, "Just you all wait." Donna's father, Draft, is the best hunter in Springfield, with a resolute face, honored hunting techniques, and claimed judgment calls. He fully deserves to be the leader of the huntsmen of Springfield and is an example to them all. In Donna's young mind, her father was her shining, perfect idol, the person she wanted to be. And that was also why she cried her heart out the day the pencil she had put on her father upon absolutely shattered. When he's drunk, he's like a wild boar rolling about in the mud, so she said, her eyes running red. But Donna was not ready to blame this on her father's terrible drinking habits, for how could such a great father have such faults? It's the Rhine's fault. It bewitches people and makes them stupid. This is the source of Diane's hatred for alcohol and the beginning of Cat's Tail's turn in fortunes. That said, Margaret, the owner of Cat's Tail, had never expected any of this to happen at all. Rather, she had a much simpler reason for hiring Diona. What choice did you have? She's just so cute. Many patrons believed that Diona's feline ears and tail were part of her uniform as a bartender. This persisted until one day when one particularly persistent fellow tugged at her tail out of curiosity, only to find an unexpected warm and soft. That day, Donna turned the tavern upside down. These feline features are the hallmarks of those with cat's line blood in their veins, and it is an extremely rare sight in Mondstadt. Other than such similarities, Donna and her father Draft also own their prowess on their hunt to this ancient bloodline. In fluation, archery, climbing, and dodging, Donna required no teacher for such skills. Ah yes, and she also has a pair of eyes that can see when well in the dark. As for weaknesses, she bites when piqued, so be careful. Thus did Dr. Edith writes of Donna in her notes for studies of bloodlines strange and unfamiliar. Donna's appearance did indeed have an impact on Mondstadt's wine industry. The Dawn Winery's long-held monopoly was broken overnight by the unexpected ambush from the cattail, and the man put in charge of winery's business, Elzer, found this unacceptable. A calculating veteran of many industry battles, Elzer considered approaching the key figure, never realizing that Donna considered the Dawn Winery of sort of final boss to be defeated in her quest. The mischievous and bold method of premonition must be the secret of these flavors, yes? Donna simply looked at the white-haired man who had just sat down in the front of the bar, ranked disapprove in her eyes. Ah, simple, exquisite. I can just feel your incomparable passion for and love for wine. Donna's head started to tremble as it held on her cattail shaker, and deciding to change at once with his sharp glaze. Elzer understood immediately. If a brilliant bartender as yourself were to grace the Dawn Winery with your cooperation, we shall be able to bring Mondstadt's alcohol industry to Hereford unseen heights. While the Luke questioned Elzer as the story behind his bandaged head later, he was uncharacteristically hesitant to say anything. I was bitten by a cat. There's a legend about the spring fairy that circulates in Donna's hometown. The fairy once served a mother and son who had despaired besides a well, filling the burden hole with rushing waters and poured a spring. The child, deadly ill, was miraculously healed by those spring waters. Many people came to catch a glimpse of these blessed waters and built a settlement around it and left it therefore. However, over time, this gave rise to a small town known as Springvale. Nowadays, few are left who believe that this is any more than a mere legend, and some even dismiss it as a myth-like making for tourism's sake. Only little Diona believed that the existence of the spring fairy, and on nights when her father was in a deep, symmetrious sleep, she would sneak into the moon reflected in the spring water's surface. These were the earliest feelings, innocent and wonderful feelings worth answering. That was what the spring fairy believed. So Donna would make a curious friend, a companion whom she could bear her feelings to, and sometimes a share of her loneliness. On the night of Donna's 7th birthday, as the moonlight reflected off the spring and upon her face, she heard the soft voice of a spring fairy. I bless you, daughter of hunters, for your days ahead as a farewell. May your cup always run over with a sweet wine of celebration. May it always be refreshing, a springs of ever-melting snow. From that day on, the spring fairy would never appear before Donna again, and she left, therefore, memories behind, considering them to their childhood dreams. Till day, she has yet to realize that her troublesome collaboration has anything at all to do with that dream. Donna's father Draft is also interested in mixing the occasional drink. Donna's tail would wag from side to side of its own accord as she watched her father rocking the shaker back and forth at night. But your young Donna also found that her father would wind up particularly drunk on such nights, becoming dead to the world before he could even finish her bedtime story. Thus, when Draft went out to hunt one day, she hid the shaker, squirreling it away in the deepest place under her bed. Unexpectedly, her father didn't bother looking for the lost shaker at all. He simply bought a new one back the very next day. When Donna went to Cat's Tail to try out her role as bartender, Margaret noticed how the cocktail shaker Donna had with her looked wholly unsuited for her style. Ever skilled with handcraft, Margaret would also give Donna a cocktail shaker equipped with a lovely cat's tails on the indiscretion gift. Now this suits you far better, Margaret said with a satisfied nod. Dona's antipathy towards alcohol is not hate per se. Instead, it can be considered a form of avarice. She wishes for her father to always be the man that she admires, and she treasures every moment that she spends with her family, unwilling to share her happiness with wine. There was once a storm that lasted for 3 days, and for those 3 days, her father, who had been hunting out, did not return. The awful weather prevailed the search parties sent by the Knights of Favonius from making much headway, and soon the dead of loss began to hang over Dona like a shroud. If she could not even stand to share, how could she bear having something utterly stolen from her? She burst out the door and into the tempest, and the waters that stood in her path were frozen by some power she did not recognize. Using her superbly tracking skills, she found her father under a broken gore. With a help of her other hunters, she returned home with her father, and only once she realized that he would be fine did she finally smile again. "Do you want me to mix you a drink? I'll numb the pain a little." That was probably the first time she ever mixed a drink in a normal fashion. Ooh, it's so refreshing. It's wonderful. Haha, ouch. Getting a drink to a cocktail that his daughter had made was probably a better anesthetic by far than the alcohol itself. Still, Dona gaining power over Cryo did not help reconcile her want to wine at all. Cat's line, which is a method as being her bloodline, is German for kitten. Her constellation Phalis, meaning just cat, is derived from some words in Spanish, such as filon, meaning relating to a reflecting cat, and frido, a word to reference to the cat family, including lions and others. Fact 1. Dona hails from Springvale and is Draft's daughter, but now lives in the city of Mondstadt as a waitress for cattails. Fact 2. This also makes Olaf her ancestor by Dermite generations. Fact 3. A customer's message on Cat's Tail message board questions why Dona gets so enraged at the mention of alcohol. Margaret, who also writes a response, encourages them not to dwell on the reasons behind it. Fact 4. To commemorate her birthday, the Tevat Food Notes, a series of blogs posts on the Chinese official website, released a real-life recipe for her special dish. Definitely not for bar food. So that ends the information of Dona. Next time when we get back, I'll be talking about official. See you next time. And make sure to check out a recent YouTube video I uploaded on my channel that had to do why it took so long to get this video out. Anyways, goodbye.